Is it real love? How to tell if someone is actually emotionally available. How to tell if someone is really into you. Because if we've been through a lot of toxic relationships, if our upbringing was a little bit tough, if we experienced abuse when we were younger, we may not actually know what a healthy relationship looks like, what it actually looks like when someone really is into you, when that love is real, as I call it, meaning healthy love, when someone is available for a relationship. The first way you can tell if someone is emotionally available is that they make attempts to connect with you. They call you, they text you, they message you. You're not the only one that is initiating that contact, that communication. They make it clear that they like you. So really the basis here of this number one way to tell is that they are able to communicate and they want to get in touch with you. They make it clear that they want to keep you around, because someone that is interested in getting to know you and really wants to see if this is the right relationship for them, they will not do anything that will push you away. When a guy really does want to get to know you, they're not going to risk messing it up. So they're not going to just not call you back for a couple days. They're not going to leave you, like they say, on red for a week. That's not going to happen if someone is really interested in you. They're going to continually get in contact with you. Not excessively. We're going to talk about the difference between this and love bombing a little bit at the end here. But they also are not going to talk about physical intimacy too soon. So they're going to make it very clear that you are frequently on their mind, and they're going to initiate contact with you. Okay, so let's go on to number 2, how to tell if someone is emotionally available. They do things that they know will make you happy. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to be like mind readers and they're going to know every single thing that is going to make you happy. But if they've heard you mention something like, oh, I really like to hear from you. Let's say every couple days, it's really great to hear your voice. They'll do that. They will do things that they know will bring a smile to your face, because someone who is available to you, someone who is interested in a real relationship with you, they want to make you happy. You guys, think about how you are yourself when you're dating someone and you really like them and you want to pursue a relationship. You too probably do things to make the other person happy because you have that mindset. And so someone who is interested in you, someone who is available, that's what it looks like. You've probably been in a relationship where you've had the opposite, where it feels like, man, I don't even know if this person actually really cares about me or not. Do they care about my happiness? That's emotional unavailability. Someone who is available, they do stuff to make you happy. Number 3 way to tell if someone is emotionally available is that they show up for you when you need help and support. So, disclaimer here, for any of these things, this does not mean that they have to drop every single thing, or for the last one, when they are doing things to make you happy, that's their constant motivation, that's the only thing they're doing. No. But they're doing it often, frequently. So with this one, they show up when you need help. This means a reasonable amount of time. It doesn't mean that they're if they're working or they're busy and you have just you're having a hard day and you need to talk to them, they're not going to drop everything immediately, but they're going to make sure that they're there for you, again, in a reasonable amount of time. So if they need to shift some things around to make sure that they're spending time with you when you're going through a hard time, they're going to do that. If you need help, let's say you're moving apartments, you need help moving, they'll show up for you. Little things like that. It's a general feeling of being supported. And again, it's not that this person is, we could say, neglecting their own needs. They're also taking care of themselves, but they put you as a priority. They make sure that they're also taking care of you, and they're there for you when you really need it. Now, if it's an emergency, yes, drop everything. We can, we're reasonable people here. We can understand that not everything is an emergency and not everything needs to be dropped at a moment's notice. But in general, do you feel like this person is there for you? Like, I remember someone telling me when I was talking to them when they were in an emotionally unavailable relationship, and they said that they felt like this person just didn't really care when they were having a hard time. I actually experienced this too when I was in a relationship like that. I would be having like the most difficult time, and I had a feeling that my partner really just didn't care. Versus now, when I'm in a relationship with someone who is available, I have the sense that they care. They do take care of themselves and they do their own things, but when I really need help, my partner is there. And so that's a really good way to tell if someone is emotionally available. Do they show up for you when you need help and when you need support? Number 4, how to tell if someone is emotionally available is they tell you they love you. Now, I have so many disclaimers here. They tell you they love you within a reasonable amount of time. So, this doesn't mean like after a few days or even after a few weeks, because that, we could consider that love bombing. I'm not talking about that. Within a reasonable amount of time, within a couple months, within 6 months, because this shows that this person is in touch with their feelings and they are able to express their feelings, especially feelings of love. And I can't tell you guys what a big difference this makes in a relationship. If you've been with someone who didn't do that, or only said that they loved you on very rare occasions, and maybe you had to say it first, it's not a great feeling. And when someone is not doing that, that means they're really not available. So we want to look for someone who is comfortable expressing that. Again, it doesn't have to be excessive, but they're able to tell you they love you. If they're saying they love you very, very early on, and there's no other signs that something is amiss, that sounds good. That probably means that they are available. So that's what we want. We want to have someone who can express their feelings, who can communicate their feelings, who can say, I think you're amazing, I love you. Number 5 sign that someone is emotionally available is that they tell you that they want to date you. They say, I want you to be my girlfriend. They say, hey, I'm ready to get off the apps. I want to be in a relationship with you. Someone who does not do that would not be emotionally available. So someone who just doesn't bring up that conversation after dating for weeks and months, someone who says they want to keep things casual, they are not emotionally available. Someone who is going to make it very clear that they want to be with you because they don't want to risk losing you. They don't want to risk you thinking that maybe you're not that, that maybe he or she is not that into you. They want to lock you down, so to speak. They want to make sure that you know what their intentions are so they don't risk losing you. If you are in a situation where someone is not saying that, again, they're probably not emotionally available, meaning they enjoy keeping it casual. They enjoy having the option to see other people, to see what's out there. And that's fine. I don't have any judgment for that. But if you are looking for a serious relationship with someone who is totally emotionally available, don't go for those types. Someone who's available and wants to be with you, they're going to make it clear. They're going to make it known. The number 6 way that you can tell if someone is emotionally available is that they want you to meet your friends and family. They want you to be included in their life. They make it known to people that you guys are together and that you are a big part of their life. Someone who is emotionally unavailable does not do that. Or maybe they'll do it here and there, but you'll feel like you're kind of on the outside of their life. You won't feel like a priority. You won't feel like the most important person to them, which ideally we want to be not above them, but we want to be one of the most important people in their lives. And so someone who is available, they're going to be excited to be with you. They're going to say, hey, yeah, come meet my friends, come hang out. And they introduce you as their partner, their girlfriend. When they're visiting family, they'll say, hey, you want to come along? Or if their family is coming to visit, come meet my family. And they're very open about you being their girlfriend. Have you guys, I'm curious if you've ever experienced this. Have you ever gone to meet someone's friend, someone that you're dating, and you thought you were in a relationship with them and they introduced you as a friend, and you're like, oh, wait, what's going on here? That's a sign that someone is not emotionally available. They're not ready for a relationship. So it's a very different experience from being introduced as a friend or just someone that they're dating versus this is my partner, this is my girlfriend. So that's what I'm talking about here. And yeah, I'm curious if you guys have experienced this yourself. But a sign that someone is available is they make you an important part of their life. They're not hiding any aspect of the relationship. They're not hiding you at all. You could say like you're out and proud. The relationship is out in the open. So whenever I talk about emotional availability, and I talk about this quite often, inevitably someone will say, but Lindsay, my ex or my partner did all of these things and they turned out to be narcissistic or abusive. And to that I would say, I get it. I totally get how it can look very similar. So what I want to make very clear here is there is a difference between someone who is emotionally available and someone who is love bombing you, and also the very exciting and love bomby type dynamic that can happen in a plain old abusive relationship with someone who isn't necessarily narcissistic. So emotional availability, again, is different than love bombing. Love bombing has a very different quality to it, and I'm going to talk about the difference here in a minute. So when someone is love bombing you, they do all this good stuff, but it's really intense. It's almost like excessive. It feels like the pace of the relationship is just going very quickly. This feels very different from a normal, healthy relationship, from someone who is emotionally available. Love bombers, by definition, are not emotionally available. So someone who is love bombing you, the term love bombing comes from what narcissists do. So someone who is high in narcissism is going to do this love bombing stuff. And again, by definition, someone who is narcissistic is not emotionally available. So this isn't the same thing. I know it can feel like the same thing. It can feel like, well, all these things my ex did and he was narcissistic, but it's actually very different. I'm going to talk about the main difference here. So when someone is high in narcissism, I just want to make this very clear. By definition, they are not emotionally available. Narcissism and emotional availability do not go together. Someone who is high in narcissistic traits, they are unable to access most of their emotions, most of their empathy. So they cannot truly be emotionally available. So the number 7 way you can tell if someone is truly emotionally available is the relationship doesn't feel rushed or too intense like a love bombing situation would. So when you're dating someone who is emotionally available, you feel like the relationship, it's going at a reasonable pace. It's not going too fast, but it's also not going too slow either. It feels like a pace that is comfortable, that you can relax into, that feels reasonable. And I'm using the word reasonable here because that's really the tone of what a relationship feels like with someone who is emotionally available. It feels reasonable, and I love using that word because when you're with someone who's love bombing you, it doesn't quite feel reasonable. It feels like things are just so intense and like it can almost seem magical, but there's also this little part of you that's like, whoa, is this too good to be true? Like, what's going on here? That's the difference. So when you're with someone who is available, it feels very different than a love bombing situation. Even if someone is doing all of these things, all of the previous 6 things I listed, this will be the one quality that feels different. And also, if you're with someone who is narcissistic, sprinkled into these emotionally available behaviors will be red flags. So just because someone is doing all these things and they have red flags, that doesn't mean that they're available. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to understand this distinction here. So the relationship with someone who is available will feel like it's going not too fast, but also not too slow, because too slow could be a sign of emotional availability. So it will feel like almost like Goldilocks, like things feel just right. If it still felt like you were with someone who was emotionally available and they turned out to be abusive, I would actually argue that that wasn't love bombing. That was actually a quote unquote normal abusive relationship. So when that's the case, there are almost always red flags that we have missed. If you want to know more about red flags, I did a training on that recently. It's almost never the case that we're dating someone and things are looking really good and they're showing up in all the ways we want them to, and there's no red flags, and then boom, out of the blue, they turn into a completely different person, and all of a sudden there's all this abuse there. That's very rare. It really does not happen like that, except on, like I said, extremely rare cases. Usually, sprinkled along are the red flags, are the warning signs that, oh, maybe this person isn't totally available, or maybe this person isn't who they claim to be. Maybe they're not as healthy as they appear. There's almost always red flags that we've missed. So if it feels like this, if it feels like you're watching this video and you're saying, wow, my partner did all these things and he still turned out to be narcissistic and abusive, I would say there's probably red flags that you missed. It's not your fault. This happens to all of us. We sometimes just don't see them. We sometimes see them and minimize them, but that's usually what's going on. So I wanted to bring this up because, again, I usually get comments like this when I talk about emotional availability. If you're still finding these distinctions confusing, then please do reach out for help, because they can be very confusing. They were confusing for me. I honestly think that it is quite nearly impossible to shift from unhealthy relationships to healthy relationships by ourselves, because we have so many cognitive distortions that we're dealing with. We have a history of minimizing red flags. We might have a history of not even seeing them, because for us in our childhood, red flags were normal. So when that's the case, we don't see them. So I highly, highly recommend getting support if this is you. If you're like just still not sure whether someone is available or not, please do reach out. This is what I help women with in my Living Free Finding Love program. This is honestly one of the most important things that I do in the program, is help women to navigate the dating process, because it can be so tricky. And I know personally that if I did not have support in this journey of finding a healthy relationship, I would not be here today able to help you and now in a healthy relationship, because I was constantly second guessing myself. Like, even while I was going through my own healing process, it's still so hard to just figure this stuff out on your own. So I was second guessing myself and saying like, well, should I give this person a chance? I mean, like, maybe I should just like let this thing go, or just maybe this is not a big deal. And so that was what I was doing. And the only way I got out of that was to talk to someone who said, no, this is not a big deal. This is not something that you need to stop seeing someone over, but this is. So they helped me figure out what was a big deal, what was a deal breaker, and what wasn't. So if this is you and this is something you're struggling with, please reach out to me. You can message me, you can send me an email. Or you can also visit my website, livingfreehealing.us. But yeah, I really strongly recommend you get some sort of support, someone who can mentor you, someone who is objective, who can just give you some feedback on what they think about a situation that you're going through. If you like this topic and want to learn more about how to create a healthy relationship, click here to watch this video about what really matters when choosing a partner. Click here to subscribe to my channel, and also click on the notification button so you'll be notified when I come out with new videos, which are every week.